1 year on from the announcement of Marvel's Blade from Arcane Leon, we still know essentially nothing about the game. The story, the visuals, the gameplay, and it will still be quite some time before we learn more or see more about this exciting upcoming project. However, there is at least one question we can answer right now, and it's a very simple one. Just who is Marvel's Blade? I feel like I speak for a large portion of the Arcane Studios community when I say that we're very excited just to have another game from our favorite studio, but I also feel that many of us are not familiar at all with this character. Most of us have what I would think is a cursory knowledge of the Marvel Universe, thanks in large part to the MCU being so prevalent in current pop culture. However, many of us do not have supreme and in-depth knowledge of the comic book mythology of Blade. Blade has had mainstream exposure in the past thanks to the films starring Wesley Snipes, but it's been over 20 years since that series of movies concluded, and Blade has since fallen out of the cultural zeitgeist. Only recently did he draw public attention again with his brief appearance in Deadpool and Wolverine. Sorry, but the movie's been out for a while now. You were bound to find out eventually. So, in an effort to help educate and prepare not just myself, but also all of you for Arcane's next game, I want to reintroduce Blade to what will hopefully be an all-new generation of curious fans like me. Thanks so much for clicking on this video, everyone, and if you do enjoy or find it insightful in any way, leave a like and a comment letting me know if Blade is a character that you're interested in after watching. Subscribe to the channel for more coverage of Blade the closer we get to release, and hit the notification bell so you never miss a future video. With that out of the way, let's once again ask the most important question. Who is Marvel's Blade? Starting from the very beginning, Blade was introduced into Marvel Comics in July of 1973 in The Tomb of Dracula, issue number 10, and he was created by comic book legend Marv Wolfman, the man responsible for DC's Teen Titans, as well as artist Gene Colan, who also drew Daredevil and, rather interestingly, Howard the Duck for Marvel. Blade was originally introduced as a side character in the Tomb of Dracula series in the 1970s, a time period where black characters were just starting to gain prominence in comic publications. The aforementioned Teen Titans featured Cyborg. Marvel had Black Panther, Luke Cage, and Storm from the X-Men, among many others that jumped onto the scene at that time. Blade seemed to connect with readers on a deeper level, however, and that popularity eventually would take off and lead to his first solo series in the mid-1990s, as well as a feature film adaptation in 1998 and 2 subsequent sequels. There are a variety of reasons as to why this character resonated with audiences, from proper ethnic representation to sheer badass factor. But Blade's origin story is a fascinating and entirely unique tale within the comic book space, and the fact that his background has stayed fairly consistent over his 50-year history shows that there is remarkable staying power in this character. Born as Eric Brooks to his mother Tara Brooks, the time period of his birth is one aspect of the story that has changed significantly over the years. In his original introduction, he was born in London in October of 1929. In the film, where he is portrayed by Wesley Snipes, he is born in the year 1967. One aspect stays constant throughout all of these origins, though. Eric's mother underwent labor with major health complications. To make matters worse, during the labor process, she is fed upon by a vampire known as Deacon Frost, and subsequently dies due to severe blood loss. Eric, however, survives, but due to the vampiric enzymes entering his body from the womb, he is born as a half-human, half-vampire hybrid. During his youth, he had many mentors that helped to teach him how to control and manage assuage his vampiric instincts, while also providing him with the tools and time he needed to hone his natural fighting skills. Due to the unique circumstances of his birth, he possesses many of the strengths of his blood-sucking mortal enemies, but few of the weaknesses. He has enhanced strength, speed, and stamina, superhuman senses and reflexes, as well as slowed aging and increased healing factor, in many cases likened to that of Wolverine, whose healing factor is infamous for helping him to survive fatal blows. He is also resistant to vampire bites entirely, as well as sunlight, hence his infamous nickname, the Daywalker, as he can travel around during the day while the vampires must skulk in darkness and shadow at all times. In most situations though, his most important skill is the one he shares his name with, his natural sword fighting and martial arts abilities. Blade uses quite a few different varieties of, you guessed it, blades in combat against the vampires, from swords and small knives to boomerangs and even wooden stakes, a staple of any true vampire hunter's kit, as well as several different hand-to-hand combat techniques like boxing, jiu-jitsu, and capoeira, which, in case you weren't aware, is a favorite pastime of Blade's game director at Arcane Leon, Dinga Bakaba. He also uses a variety of firearms to keep his distance, primarily small pistols or SMGs, in addition to small throwable items like grenades. With all of these strengths come weaknesses, and though he only really has a few, his most notable is that he possesses the lust to drink blood, much like his undead brethren. He is able to resist this temptation for a short time, but if left untreated with an alternative to fresh blood, he will succumb to his darker urges and go on a rampage. So he is a man torn between two worlds, the warm society of the living and the rushing power of the undead, leading him to have a rather cold and stoic demeanor. And this, combined with his remarkable skill set, is what continues to make Blade such an interesting character to this day. Now, a hero wouldn't be nearly as interesting if he didn't have interesting villains to fight, and Blade has many that he has traded blows with over the years. Important figures in his personal life, like Deacon Frost, the vampire responsible for his mother's death, as well as his physiology since birth. And also, someone that I think is bound to appear in the Blade game at some point, since he plays such a key role in the comic mythology of Blade. The Daywalker has also crossed paths with Morbius the Living Vampire, as well as the king of the vampires himself, the infamous Dracula, whom Blade has had an almost Superman and Lex Luthor type relationship with over the years, where they've gone from sworn enemies to sometimes sharing a tense and temporary alliance. Blade has also, on occasion, helped to fight world-ending threats alongside groups like the Avengers and the Midnight Suns. Part of what makes Blade more interesting than other Marvel heroes, though, at least in my opinion, is that his adventures do tend to be more street-level affairs, where he works solo to combat the vampire threat. This can also work to Arcane's advantage, as they can fully focus on Blade's story and his personal journey without shoving in any connections to the wider Marvel universe. Or maybe they will tease a larger universe beyond the Daywalker. In any case, these are some of the things that I felt were the most important things we all should know about Blade as we prepare ourselves for the game's launch, and hopefully this provided a little bit of insight into who Blade is as a character, his background, his abilities, and his rogues gallery. Now though, more importantly, I want to know what you think in the comments down below. Did you learn something new about Blade? Has this video interested you in the comics and movies? Let's discuss. If you enjoyed the video, please be sure to leave a like and share the video with anyone who might be interested. Once again, consider subscribing to the channel for more coverage of Blade leading up to the game's release, and be sure to hit that notification bell so you always know when my newest upload is available. And remember that the outsider walks among us. Thanks so much for watching, everyone, and I'll see you next time.